What is going on, you beautiful divine beings of love and light? Welcome to my channel. My name is Daniel, where I help people uplift their consciousness, raise their vibration, let go of man-made doctrines of religion so that we can come out of bondage and come into the beautiful creative expressions of love and light that we are. Welcome if it's your first time here. I'm not really sure what I'm going to talk about today, but I had a friend reach out and be like, you need to make a video. You need to make a video. And here we are. And so, right on. So, during this time, I don't know about you guys, but for the last couple weeks, there has been crazy amounts of energy. And it's like almost like a really weird energy, an energy of like, old patterns coming to the surface of things that we felt like we've already dealt with that are coming up to rear their head again, to be like, actually, you know what? Like, you dealt with a portion of this, but there's still a facet of this that needs to be worked through, that needs to be healed, that needs to be integrated. And so the last couple weeks, personally, I've been going through a lot of feeling, a lot of old patterns and programmings coming up. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of that kind of roller coaster, a lot of what I would have called back in the day attacks from the devil, or just attacks coming upon me. And so it's been very, very interesting because there's been some low lows, but the lows don't take me out anymore because of the reality of where my awareness is at. See, when I would used to get attacked and a level of depression or anxiety or just hopelessness about life would come up in my human experience, and I would relate to it in my mind and in my emotions, that would have the potential to take me out for weeks, like literally like weeks, like despairing of life, not wanting to move forward, not knowing what my purpose is, just like back to ground zero, like a reset, crash and burn type experience. And you know what? I've been feeling that stuff very deeply over the last couple weeks. But what's so interesting is now it's just hours. It's just like a couple hours. And even within that time span, with that stuff that's coming up, there's an awareness level, there's a level of consciousness that I've been able to cultivate, not because I'm anybody special, but because I've gone within and I've learned to tackle my emotions head on. Okay? So in this time, in this season, we need to, especially when old things come up that we think that we've dealt with, we need to be able to come into a space and a place where we begin to love and be patient with ourselves. Okay? And so the title of this message is going to be, it's okay not to feel okay. Okay, so it's okay not to feel okay. It's okay not to have all the energy in the world every day. It's okay not to be on cloud nine every day. It's okay not to have the high vibrational states of joy and passion and enthusiasm every single day. Okay? But when these lower vibrational states of being, the shame, the guilt, the confusion, there's been a lot of confusion that's coming up the last couple weeks. When these things come up, how do we deal with it? How do we respond is the key. And when we respond by saying, it's okay to not feel okay, we're actually dismantling energetically that old pattern that is coming up in our mind and body, that's coming up in our emotions. See, because energy and motion are our emotions. And when we have these negative emotions that are coming up, they're coming into the surface so that they can be healed, so that they can be seen and loved, so that they can be processed. But oftentimes, if we're not going within, if we're not in a daily meditation practice, if we're not cultivating awareness in our life, we just become the program. We get taken out of the now moment into what's going to happen in the future, into, oh my God, this trauma from the past keeps playing in my mind. And we get removed from the eternal, glorious, glamorous, generous, present moment where we have access to everything that we need. Okay? So next time you have an emotional state come up, a negative emotion come up, and you're not feeling okay, just take a couple moments, take a deep breath and say, you know what? It's okay not to feel okay. It's okay not to feel okay. Because what is that doing? Say you have fear coming up, or you have disappointment or sadness, you're just feeling really down, you're feeling depressed, you have sadness, and that's coming up in your human experience. You have two options. Try to outwork the depression. Oh man, I'm going to work out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get all busy, I'm going to try to overcome the depression. And sometimes that is an accurate thing to do. I'm not saying it's not. In every life situation, we have two options. One is change it, fight it or fight or flight. That falls under the category of resisting it. We can resist the depression. We can try to fight our way out of it through exercise, through this, through that. And sometimes we do need to clean our diet up. Sometimes we do need to exercise a little bit more. Sometimes we do need to begin to try to think positively more and meditate more. But on a deeper level, or we can escape from it. We can go numb out. We can go back into addictive patterns. We can go back into codependent relationships. We can go back into whatever we use to try to change the state of being. Okay? Or the second option is we can fully accept what we're feeling. Accept that we don't have energy. Accept that we're a little confused. Accept that we're tired. Accept that I'm not feeling that great today. And it's perfectly okay not to feel okay. You know what I mean? And so when we do that, we're accepting it, and the vibration of acceptance is way higher than the vibration of judgment and shame and you beating yourself up because you're not feeling good. Or you trying to work really hard to overcome that depression, that sadness. When you accept it, you automatically raise your vibration to a much higher emotional state than you would if you were really trying to outwork it. Okay? So by saying something like, it's okay not to feel okay, say it to yourself, Daniel, it's okay not to feel okay right now. It's perfectly okay. I give you permission to rest. I give you permission to find peace. That brings the higher vibration of acceptance into a lower vibrational state, and that begins to raise your frequency easily and effortlessly without you trying to numb out, fight or flight your way out of the situation. Okay? So tell yourself it is okay to not feel okay. So this is something that's really interesting that came up yesterday actually. And there was a speaker and he was talking about purpose, and there was a question from the audience, and the person said, how do you know how do you find your purpose? How do you find your purpose? And the speaker said something really interesting. He said, if you knew that you were going to be dead tomorrow at noon, okay, so, in the next 12 hours or 20 hours, 24 hours, you know that you're going to be dead, what would you do for this last day that you have living there? And it was so interesting for me because as I asked myself this question, I'm going to be dead in 24 hours. Previously in my life, it would have been like, go out and party, or like, do a bunch of stuff that would bring a lot of pleasure into my life, like go get drunk, go party, do a bunch of just whatever, right? Like stuff, that old low vibrational stuff. Even like going to an amusement park, or like getting some high adrenaline stuff, doing that. Like, I would have answered this question so differently in different phases of my life. And it's so interesting because when I asked myself this yesterday, I was very surprised at what happened. When I asked myself, what would I do for the last 24 hours if I was going to die? And this might sound really boring to the ego, but it was literally like this peace, this presence of God. Like, the deeper that I began to contemplate, like and emotionally embrace, like if this is my last 24 hours on earth, what would I do? The more I just wanted to sit and rest and connect with God, connect with the divine nature, connect with life. Do you know what I mean? And so that was absolutely incredible because it began to reorient me even more, recalibrate me and realign me into the deepest eternal truth of the now moment, of Christ, of practicing being present in the presence. See, because when we are present in the now moment, we have access to everything. We have escaped thinking. We've let go of the illusion of time. Okay? We've let go of the idea that we need to do something to be something. We've let go of the idea that we need to do something in order to obtain something. And we just resonate in the now moment. And in that now moment, there's great power. There's great creative ability. Because when you're in the now moment, there's an alignment with the spirit that allows you to become a conduit for the higher revelation, the higher truths, and whatever needs to come through easily and effortlessly and authentically in your human experience. And so this embrace of death, this mental and emotional embrace of death, actually brought me to a greater place of life, which was very surprising, but very, very interesting. And as I began to embrace this, and I realized that I would just go deeper into the now, deeper into Christ, deeper into my union, deeper into oneness with the divine nature, and that would be my highest for the last 24 hours that I would get to live on the planet, it really illuminated to me the importance of what my purpose is in this season. And past it just being this season, what my life purpose and what your life purpose and what all of our life purposes are is so much bigger than the doer who wants to achieve something. So much bigger than the worker who wants to work themselves into some form of egoic title or being something. If we had 24 hours to live left in our lives, sure, you could have some exhilarating experiences. You could do some things that would be pretty risky that you might not normally do that may have consequences after. But then you need to ask yourself the question, would I still do those things if there was consequences after? If it was going to negatively affect my life and I didn't die? And if the answer is no, I wouldn't do them still, it would just be kind of a thing that I'm going to do because I only have 24 hours to live, then you begin to realize that you're actually just living from the ego, trying to obtain something, to add something to an experience of who you think you are. Whereas if you truly realize that there's nothing that needs to be added unto my life story, my life situation, but I have the power and potential to dive deeper into the now moment, this God moment, my heart, life itself. For in him was life, and that life was the light of mankind. Okay? So we have that life within us. We are one with Christ. Jesus dying on the cross, the ultimate picture of union, divinity nailed to humanity. On Golgotha, the place of the skull. Jesus lived 33 years. There's 33 vertebrae. Okay, this is the balancing of the energy centers up our spine into our cranium, into Golgotha, where the veil is torn, where the separation leaves, and we come into full realized union. Okay, so we are that light. We are the light of the world. We are the temple hosting the light to the world. Okay, and in him was life, and that life is the light of mankind. Okay, so that life, that Christ life, that Christ essence is in you, and that's the light of mankind in you and through you. And so, all that to say, if I had 24 hours left, man, I would just be going deeper into that. Which leads me to the question, if that is the most important thing, the greatest purpose in my life at this point in time, how much more time needs to be committed to this? Very interesting questions, very interesting stuff. You can ask yourself the same questions, and if this resonates with you. If not, that's perfectly okay too. But it is okay not to feel okay. It is okay not to feel okay. So next time something comes up in your life where you get triggered, where something's going on, you know, I'm broke. This relationship just failed, you know. Add on, that's perfectly okay at the end. Man, I'm broke and my credit card's mounting up, and it's perfectly okay. You know, my partner just left me and I just lost my job, and it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay. Or you can add on, and I totally love that. You know, I just lost my job and I totally love that. You know, I'm suicidally depressed and I totally love that. And it's perfectly okay. See, we are just on a process of uprooting all of the old patterns and programs of the ego so that we can come into that deeper now moment, that Christ self, that oneness, that eternal life, that we all are. Okay? That we all are. And so this last couple weeks, it's like, okay, imagine your healing is like a clock. At 12 o'clock, there's your rejection issue. At 3 o'clock, there's your abandonment issue. At 6 o'clock, there's your depression issue. You know, and at each different part of the clock, there's your different issue, because we know that time in a linear line is actually an illusion. It's not true. Okay? It's all an illusion of the mind. Time is actually much more circular, but it's not just a circle, it's actually a spiral that ascends upwards. And so the patterns and the programs that you're going through right now, man, see, like that confusion issue just came up in my life again for a brief moment. I thought I already dealt with that. But the reality is I was on ground zero before, level zero, and I dealt with that. And then it came around again a year later, and bam, I had to deal with it again. But guess what? My consciousness was at a higher level, so it was another layer of the onion of the confusion that was coming off. And then it goes up again, and you're like, damn, I thought, why every year do I have to deal with this rejection issue? Why is this coming up again? I want to tell you that you are growing spiritually. It's not that you're facing the same issue again. It's that you're growing in your consciousness level. You're growing in your awareness level. And it's like a clock. It's just time for you to take off the next layer of that issue. Okay? So it's like you're ascending up the spiral staircase. And it's like each time you make another loop, it's like you hit that step again and you're like, man, I thought I already dealt with this depression. I thought I already dealt with this rejection. I thought I already dealt with this. But the reality is that you did on a lower level of consciousness, because you're growing from faith to faith, from glory to glory. And you're growing in Christ-likeness. And so now you're taking off another layer of the issue from a higher place of consciousness, from a greater capacity, from a greater perspective in your life. So you're beginning to see the issues, the things that you think, the things that you feel, the issues in your heart that are creating your life expression from a higher plane of reality, from a greater perspective, and you're able to begin to love yourself in a greater way than you could before. You have more clarity, okay? And so don't be discouraged if a bunch of junk is coming up in your life, the old patterns and stuff that you thought that you dealt with, because you're just on the ascending spiral of the eternal now moment, and your consciousness is growing and your awareness is growing, and that means your perspective is growing, and so you're actually healing it in a deeper way. You're just going deeper. You're just going higher. So once again, love yourself. Love yourself in it. It's okay not to feel okay. Fully accept yourself and embrace yourself, because you're moving to a new level. Right on. I love you guys. Have a great day.